You guys ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 1, 2. You guys ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Welcome to SLAM 2021, the 15th edition of SLAM here at Marshall University. We're so excited to have you here today. This is an exciting venture for us all for our second virtual digital version of SLAM. And we would be remiss if we didn't thank all those who've been a huge part in helping this come about this year, again this year. The SLAM committee members, Amanda Knapp, Greg Clemens, Brett Johnson, Misty Tyson, Ryan Bell, Kelsey Taylor, and most especially Ted Bruner in our IT department, who's helping make this day come about, and Mike Thornhill, who has put all of the digital stuff together for the work today and on the website. Without either one of them, none of this would have happened today and this technology wouldn't have been available. So we really appreciate everybody's participation in that. Additionally, we want to thank the art students from Professor Ken Katara's art classes that contributed to the SLAM posters. The designs this year were really, really good. They were excellent, as you can see all around campus. The design that was chosen this year for the program cover that you see on our website was by Anthony Flores, a freshman here at Mars Hill. So congratulations, Anthony. Wonderful designs all around. Finally, we want to thank all of our student presenters, both for the oral presenters and the Arts Breaks participants who helped make this day come together, and to all of you for joining us here today. We've got a great program for you today. So let's begin with our invocation with student Sydney Rose as she leads us in our invocation and prayer.
Will you pray with me? Lord, thank you for bringing us all together today. Even though we can't be in person, I thank you for the opportunity for letting us gather together online. Thank you for giving us the resources to do that as well. Lord, I pray over the presentations today. I pray over the presenters that you calm their nerves. And Lord, I pray over the people that are helping run today, that you also calm their nerves and that today will run smoothly. Lord, I pray for everyone in attendance today and that everyone will learn something new and be able to walk away with something. Lord, I pray for peace over this campus, Lord, and that everyone has the opportunity that you gave us the opportunity to experience this. Thank you for also giving us a beautiful day to experience SLAM. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Sydney. And now a word from our president, President Tony Floyd.
Hey, good morning, Lions. It's SLAM Day. I love this day, and I'm so glad we're able to have it. I know this has been a crazy year, but we're not letting it stop SLAM. So welcome to it. The liberal arts mosaic is incredible. You know, our mission statement that our Board of Trustees approved some years ago and even reviewed not too long ago calls for us to have a rigorous study of the liberal arts, and this is a big part of it. You're going to hear today from Q Tucker. Q is on our Board of Trustees. She's a brand new trustee and a Mars Hill alumni. And so you're going to get to see a lot of good things and hear from some incredible people today. I just want to say welcome, good luck to you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, President Floyd, sorry. We really appreciate it. I was talking about leaders in class yesterday, okay? All right. Okay, let's talk about this virtual digital version of SLAM, how it'll work again this year. It's similar to what we did last year. We've got oral presentations and arts breaks online, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But as you can see, this portion of the program is live right now. It is being recorded and will be posted on springslam.com this afternoon by about 2 o'clock, sometime between 2 and 3. Takes a little while to get the recording loaded and all that kind of stuff. The pre-recorded student presentations will be available right after this, so you can go ahead and start watching those immediately after the live portion, okay? We have all kinds of really interesting oral presentations and some cool arts breaks, so go ahead and view any of those that you like, okay? Now, the SLAM program itself is also on the Spring SLAM site, so you can read through the abstracts that have been written by the presenters and decide which ones you want to watch. My recommendation is watch them all. They're all really good and really interesting and super diverse. We've got a lot of different approaches to different types of research and performances that are really, really creative and interesting. Okay. Now, again, this year we do have student incentives. So to get your name in a drawing, just like in the past years, you need to view the speaker's presentation, Q Tucker, and 3 others' presentations. It can be oral presentations or arts breaks. So once you've watched a total of 4 or more, please watch more. All you have to do is fill out the JOT form on the Spring SLAM site, responding to the questions on the form for each of the presentations that you viewed. So you need to fill out 4 different JOT forms for 4 different presentations, 1 for each presentation that you view. Okay, it's really short and easy. It doesn't take long at all. The presentations run about 12 to 15 minutes at most. So to watch all 4, you've got less than an hour invested in the whole thing. Really, really, really good stuff. Okay. Some of you may have additional types of work that you have that you've agreed upon with your professors. That's between you and your professors. I know my classes have extra credit opportunities. So it's completely up to you between you and them as to how you go from there. Okay. So in just a few minutes, our speaker will get started. You're really going to enjoy her presentation. As our president mentioned, she went to school here. She is super involved in all kinds of things within the state that she'll tell you about. We will have some time at the end of her presentation for questions. So feel free to post questions in the chat or in the Q&A. We'll be recording those or taking those down, and I'll step back up and we'll ask her those questions at the end. So she'll have an opportunity to interact with you as well. Okay. Now, remember that when you put something in the chat, everybody can see it. So be judicious in how you put stuff in the chat. Okay. All right. So another of our student representatives is going to be telling us a little bit about CUE. Kayla Mendoza Baez is really just going to be talking about it. So welcome, Kayla.
Hello, my name is Kayla Mendoza, and I'm excited to announce today's guest speaker, Miss Marilyn Q. Tucker, better known as Q. Tucker, which is her middle name. She is currently serving as the commissioner of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, a position she assumed in December 2015. In this role, Tucker oversees the entire operation of the association, which includes a staff of 17, a sports program consisting of 13 different sports, culminating in 90 state team championships for men and women in 4 classifications for over 421 members. She is a native of Rockingham County. She joined the staff of the association in 1991 after serving as an assistant coach for the North Carolina State University women's basketball program, where she worked under the famous head coach, Kay Yao. Among her duties at NCSU, she was to oversee the team's academic progress. Ms. Tucker was an outstanding athlete at Stoneville High School in Rockingham County, and she went from there to Mars Hill College, where she played basketball and graduated in 1974 with a bachelor's degree in physical education. She earned her master's degree in physical education from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 1977, serving as a graduate assistant there in the women's volleyball and basketball team. Her first coach position was in the McDowell County school system, where she taught and coached at West McDowell Junior High in Marianne, North Carolina. She finished a public school career teaching at Redsville Senior and Junior High School while serving in varsity volleyball and basketball coach at Redsville Senior High School. Ms. Q has an excellent background in officiating, serving in a game official in volleyball, basketball, and softball. She's a charter member of Mars Hill College Athletic Hall of Fame, a member of the NC Athletic Directors Hall of Fame in 2010, and the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame in 2011. In 2011, Ms. Q. Tucker received the Dr. Nell C. Jackson National Award given by the National Association for Girls and Women in Sports. The award recognizes her leadership and distinguished service in girls and women in sports in North Carolina. With that being said, I will hand it over to Ms. Q. Tucker.
Good morning, still. Thank you, Kayla, for that introduction. And I want to say welcome to everyone who has joined us live through this medium to participate in SLAM. What a great opportunity that we have to experience technology at its best. I want to also thank Joy Clifton for her coordination of this day and for also reaching out to me, asking me to be a part of our program today. I also want to thank Dr. Floyd for his work as the president and trying to just ensure that Mars Hill is now the university that you all are pleased to have an opportunity to be a part of. When I was at Mars Hill, it was Mars Hill College. And so I can assure you that there are times when I still want to reference MHC, but I am keenly aware that it is now Mars Hill University, and just proud to call Mars Hill a part of who I am today. I really believe that what I learned at Mars Hill really helped propel me into the career that I have enjoyed. Well, I asked about the day you're having on the Hill, and certainly it would be great if I could be on the Hill and be there, especially since spring is sprung. Spring flowers are blooming, the weather is nicer, it's getting warmer, birds are flying and chirping, butterflies and bees all over everywhere. And I think you would agree that this is a favorite time of the year. If for no other reason, we've come out of winter. And so to see green, and even though the pollen is just making everything look a little yellow, there's still something about spring that just indicates newness. Again, it's great for me to be back on the Hill, so to speak. And I am just really pleased with this opportunity to share with you today. So as I thought about SLAM and think about the fact that, if you think about baseball, you hit grand slams, I thought about what could I use as a focal point? What could my title of what I want to share with you today be all about? Well, I kind of settled in on something that you're going to think is a little strange. So my focal point, or my title of my speech today, or my sharing with you today, is Running with Bumblebees. Running with Bumblebees. And I promise you, I will kind of pull all of this together so that you will be able to figure that out. But I want to begin by telling you just a little bit more about my story. Kayla told you really some of what I've done, especially in my later years and after leaving Mars Hill. But I grew up in a small town. And in my early years, I can remember that we drew water from a well, that I took a bath in a tin tub, typically once a week. And we had an outhouse. And that was back then just a fancy name for what today is called a porta-john. I lived on a farm. We had 1 acre of tobacco. And that was just one of the ways that my parents made a living. Now, my dad also owned his own shoe repair business, while my mom was a certified teacher. But in those early days, she couldn't get a job during the early 60s, as those were segregation days. I rode the bus to school during my elementary years, and I passed by the school where white children went to school on my way to the school where Black children went to school. And I have one sister, and we grew up seeing the signs of segregation everywhere we went. We saw signs that said white only or colored only on the front of a water fountain. And when we went to the movies, we went through a door in an alley with a sign over the top of the door that read colored entrance. Now, we could walk into the ice cream shop and buy a cone of ice cream, but I had to eat it on the outside. I couldn't sit down and eat the cone of ice cream inside of the ice cream shop. But you know what? As I think back on those days, we made it. My sister and I grew up with loving parents who taught us the lessons such as work hard, do the right thing all the time, and treat people the way you want to be treated. And basically, that was reaffirmed Sunday when I went to Sunday school, because it's the golden rule. And so my Sunday school teachers reinforce that you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then, of course, in 1970, I made the decision to attend Mars College sight unseen. When I came on campus, I was one of only 4 Black females on campus. Now, there were right many African-American males who were primarily athletes. And I lived in Edna Moore dorm. I was the only Black female in the dorm. But here's where my life took a turn. I met Coach Virginia Hart. And she invited me to come to her office. And this is what she said: I want you to come by my office and we'll chew the fat. Now, I did that. I went up to her and introduced myself to her because my homeroom teacher when I was in high school said, this is one person you really want to meet when you get to Mars Hill, because she's the basketball coach and I had played basketball in high school. And so sure enough, I went to Coach Hart's office and we chewed the fat one afternoon, found out how to go out for the basketball team. And guess what? I was on my way to a successful 4 years at Mars Hill. Now, in thinking about all of that and then thinking about SLAM, which I understand means Students Liberal Art Mosaic, the word mosaic intrigued me because I wanted to try to tie that with my experiences, not only while I was at Mars Hill, but over the course of my career. So I looked up the definition of mosaic, and this is what it said: a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small colored pieces of hard material, such as stone, tile, or glass. And so I would invite you to just think about where you are now. Look around at Mars Hill, where you're getting that liberal arts education, or perhaps you're a staff member at that liberal arts school. Everything and everyone representative of Mars Hill makes up this mosaic: males and females, white, Black, and brown people, tall and short, small and large, teachers, students, other staff, all together in this one place we call Mars Hill. And if that's not a mosaic, that to me is a true definition of mosaic, is that all together we form Mars Hill. And it also reminds me of a quote that I read some years ago by Jesse Jackson. And this is what it said: America is not like a blanket, one piece of unbroken cloth, the same color, the same texture, the same size, but rather America is more like a quilt, many patches, many pieces, many colors, many sizes, all woven and held together by a common thread. Isn't that really what Mars Hill is all about? And isn't that what SLAM is about? Still very young in infancy, but bringing all of these pieces, these patches together, all woven together by that common thread. I was given a book when I graduated from high school, and interestingly enough, I was given that same book when I graduated from college. And the title of the book is I Dare You, and it was written by William Danforth, who was founder and the former chairman of the board of Ralston Purina Company in St. Louis, Missouri. And in the book, he talked about dares. And so today, I want to dare you to use this day, use SLAM as a reflection point, to think about the person you want to become and what others will want to follow, the person others will want to follow. I dare you to realize that it starts with character. How a person deals with circumstances of life tells many things about character. You see, character is more than talk. It determines who you are, and who you are determines what you see, and what you see determines what you do. You can't separate character from actions. You have to walk it. Oftentimes you've heard, you'd rather see a sermon any day than hear one. Well, that's a lot like character. You'd rather see someone walking their character. And then we think about all of the gifts and talents that are around Mars Hill. And we heard from the ensemble at the beginning, talent is a gift. But when you think about character, it's really a choice. We have no control. We do not choose our parents. We do not select the location or circumstances of our birth. We do not pick our talents. We create character every time we make choices to bend the truth or stand under the weight of it, to take the easy money or pay the price. Character brings lasting success for people. A person cannot rise above the limitations of his or her character. Those are things that we have to think about, and today is a great day to think about it. Let me tell you a story about a man who took his daughter to a carnival, and she ran over to this booth and she asked for cotton candy. And so as the man proceeded to hand her the huge ball of cotton candy, her father asked her, "Are you sure you can eat all that?" And she looked up at her dad and she said, "Don't worry, Dad. I'm a lot bigger on the inside than on the outside." And that's really what character is. That's real character. It's being bigger on the inside. So as we journey through my thoughts today, I've got some questions that I also want you to think about. As you're living your life at Mars Hill, whether you're teaching or whether you're a student, what exactly are you capable of achieving? What's a realistic expectation for your life? Is there a limit to how high you should aim? Well, the simple answer to these questions is that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. And to use a sports analogy, you're really capable of hitting a grand slam. If you think it, then it's a realistic expectation, and you can aim as high as you want. Now, you've all probably heard the wise saying, the sky is the limit. Is it really wise? However, it implies that man's potential has a limit, when in actual fact, man's potential is limitless. Let's examine what exactly your potential as a human being is. Firstly, I think we need to define potential. Potential is all that you can be, but you have not yet become. And what a great place to experience the realization of who you will become. Potential is all you can accomplish, but you have not yet accomplished. It is unexposed or dormant ability. It's there that hasn't been awakened yet. And this means that the ability to become and to do is already there inside of you. It just hasn't been brought out and utilized. Everyone's potential is limitless. The mind of each one of us has unlimited potential. It has the limitless ability to create. And man has been on earth for thousands of years, yet we are still making new discoveries today and creating new things every day. We cannot exhaust the creative power of our minds. And that's a good thing, because there's still so much left to create and discover. Your most powerful asset is your mind. And as I said, this is a great day to start thinking about that, to reflect on where you are in life and how to use your most powerful asset, which is your mind. What is realistic? What's a realistic goal and what is achievable? It's really up to you. If your mind can accept that something is achievable, it will find a way to attain it. Whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. These are the immortal words of Napoleon Hill, a man who truly understood that there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Possibilities at Mars Hill are limited only by your thinking. Possibilities wherever we are. I happen to be in Chapel Hill today. So my possibilities today are limited only by my thinking. And what may limit one person is a walk in a park for another person. It's all in the mindset. Your potential, again, as a human being is unlimited. And you have within you the ability to become and to achieve anything you want. And I think that SLAM is all about that moment where you can stop at Mars Hill or stop wherever you are and think about this ability. Think about the possibilities. Now, before you start scratching your head and making excuses, let me help you a little bit. If money, education, social status, and those kinds of things were no hindrance, what would you want out of life? If all the knowledge and the wealth in the world were at your disposal, what would you want to be and to do? This requires that you look deep within yourselves and examine your mindset. Are there things you have accepted simply because everyone else seems to accept them? Have you accepted society's standards as your own? Now, here's a word of caution about that. Society celebrates mediocrity. Now, what do I mean by that? Ordinary people do not like it when others get ahead. It only exposes their lack of vision and their motivation. That is why mediocrity is often embraced and excellence is shunned. Being ordinary is acceptable. It's not difficult to see the results others are getting from what they are doing. The good news is you don't have to do what they are doing. Find your own way. Utilize that potential that I talked about that is within you. If you do not challenge yourself to grow beyond your own present circumstances, that potential will just waste away and be totally useless, not only to you, but to the rest of humanity. It's sort of like your muscle strength. If you do not use your muscles, you lose them. And they too become useless. There are several things I heard from someone who shared encouragement and motivation to my staff as we were thinking about the potential for starting another year. And his comments were designed to challenge us to grow beyond our circumstances and things we often forget. And one of those was that to live, you gotta love. The best life is the one you feel. And when someone around you means something to you, tell them you love them. There's no better feeling in the world to say and hear it. He reminded us to be curious. And I'm reminding you today, be curious. Challenge your inner 8-year-old self and wonder why things are the way they are. Ask questions and embrace hardship. You really do grow in times of discomfort. So go be uncomfortable. Look for and hug those uncomfortable times so that they don't scare you. Seek out discomfort in people and things that challenge your normal way of thinking, because that's when you're growing. And then something else he shared that's rather interesting. When someone asks what you want to be when you grow up, and I still love this even today, don't say that you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or an entrepreneur. When someone asks what you want to be when you grow up, say you want to be happy. Then you can go out and really do it. And then he encouraged us to understand that whatever you want in life, you must first give it away to get it. On this day, if you wish to laugh in life, you must first create laughter for others. If you want to be secure in this world, you must make others less fearful first. And if you wish to be rich, in whatever way you define rich, you must make others rich first. Now, about those bumblebees, because remember, I told you my topic, or what my thought was, running with the bumblebees. So let's think about the bumblebees. According to the laws of physics, bumblebees should not be able to fly, that they're not physically capable of flying. Why? The bumblebee's wing size is not big enough to support its body, and thus would make flying possible if its wing size was big enough to support the body. Now, all of you've seen bumblebees. They're short and stubby, and the bumblebee really doesn't look like it could fly. In the 1930s, there was a French entomologist who was named Auguste Magnan. He even noted that the insect's flight is actually impossible. But we all know that the bumblebees fly. So Michael Dickinson, who was a professor of biology and an insect flight expert at the University of Washington, published a study back in 2005 in which he says the big misconception about insect flight and why Professor Magnan believed that the bumblebees couldn't fly is because he had the belief that bumblebees flap their wings up and down. Actually, with a rare exception, they flap their wings back and forth. Experts argue about it. Science keeps on proving facts. But the bumblebee, in all its glory, flies anyway. It defies physics and flies on, flapping its plain and feeble-looking tiny wings and reaching heights that even experts used to believe it would never reach. And if you think about it, we should be very jealous of the bumblebee. We probably wish we couldn't hear or understand what experts and scientists say about what we can and what we cannot do. I could be reaching heights I never thought I could. I could be doing things I never thought I'd be able to do. I could be accomplishing incredible things if I just simply didn't listen to people. But no, we listen to people who plant doubt in our hearts about our potential, about what we can be and who we can be. Things like, and maybe you've heard some of these. Yeah, right. That's a dream. Dream on. Who told you that you can? Look at yourself. You're too dumb for that. And if the bumblebee could hear me, I would say to the bumblebee, you don't know how lucky you are. You just did it. It didn't matter what scientists and experts said about you. You are flying. And for us, it's never too late to be what you might have been. George Eliot said that it's never too late to be what you might have been. Let me tell you another story. A young boy once asked a wise old man what the secret to success is. And after listening to the boy's question, the wise man told the boy to meet him at the river in the morning and he would be given the answer there. So the next morning, the wise man and the boy began walking toward the river. They continued on, but they didn't stop on the bank of the river. They walked right into the river, past the point of water covering their nose and their mouths. At this point, the wise man ducked the boy into the water. And as he struggled to get out, the wise man continued to push him further down. The boy felt this fish pass by his leg, and he squirmed even harder to get up. Eventually, the man pulled the boy's head up so he could get air. The boy gasped and coughed as he inhaled a deep breath of air. So the wise man said to the young fella, "What were you fighting for when you were under the water?" And the boy replied, "Air." The man said, "There you have the secret to success. When you want to gain success as much as you wanted air when you were under the water, you will obtain it. That's the only secret to success. When you want it as much as when you were under the water, you will obtain it." So when you want it as much, when you want success as much as if you wanted air, you will obtain it. So what's the lesson? That success starts with the desire to achieve something. If your motivation is weak, guess what? Your results will be weak. Think about what you desire the most in life and work towards getting it. Don't allow your environment or other people to influence the things that you truly want. Just because that fish was swimming by that young boy's leg is comfortable with being underwater, it doesn't mean that you are. And that young boy wasn't comfortable being under the water. And so to everyone who's listening in today, I'm challenging you to flap your wings back and forth and fly anyway, just like the bumblebee. What is the one thing that you really want to do? What are your gifts, your talent, your skills, your creativity, your wit? What is the passion in your heart? They are all that you need to take you places. Oh, and when mixed together, gifts and skills and talents, creativity and wit and passion, why, you might say it sort of looks like a mosaic. And if you truly want to run with the bumblebees, I dare you to flap your own wings. Don't be afraid to flap your wings. Marianne Williamson, who is an author and who was a 2020 Democratic candidate for president back during those 2020 primaries, she said this: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be?" So today, whether you're at Mars Hill or wherever you may be joining us, I dare you, I challenge you to run and flap your own wings, even if they are tiny, even if they're plain and feeble looking wings. Prove those doubters wrong. People who said you will never amount to anything. People who have perhaps said, you won't ever graduate from college. You won't ever make it in life. But more importantly, prove it to yourself. It's hard to shake off the negativity if it's inside your head 24/7. You've got to change the narrative that's playing out your head. In reality, you are the only one stopping you from reaching your dreams. The bumblebee did not let science define his destiny. He let his heart direct him. And you can do what the bumblebee does. Fly, even though people tell you that you can't. I'm challenging you this day, the day when we're celebrating, when Slam is the meaning of the day. Pursue your purpose. You'll be an essential part of the circle of life, making the world a little more beautiful with what you do. And I found that when I was at Mars Hill, I realized my potential. And I never sought this job that I now hold. I simply found myself wanting to do all I could do and to do it to the best of my ability. So I remind you again on this day that spring has sprung, the spring flowers are blooming, the weather is so nice, birds, butterflies, and bees all around doing their thing. It's time for us all to run with the bumblebees, heeding their lessons, heeding the lessons that they've been teaching us since the bumblebee flapped its wings from day one and showed the critics how wrong they were. Just run, just be, just do, just fly. Run with the bumblebees. Thank you.
Thank you, Q. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Choose our character, be bigger on the inside, work toward our limitless potential, be curious, seek out people who challenge our normal way of thinking. All things for us to consider and work on every single day. Be a bumblebee, defy physics. It's awesome. Let's all give you a big round of applause using our reactions in Zoom. Thank you. Thumbs up, clapping. We get them all on Zoom. All right, that's exciting. I'm looking to see, we've got a lot of comments coming up. Do we have any questions at all that we want to ask? She covered so many positive, awesome things. Do we have any questions for Q? Because I'm trying to read the chat here as we go. Lots of thank yous and great jobs. I think one of the things that we tend not to do, and I think is interesting, is to be afraid of ourselves.
That's right.
And that's really interesting that some of the things that you quoted about being afraid.
And Joy, one of the things I was going to say is, when as I mentioned, I chose Mars Hill sight unseen. And on the day my parents drove me to Mars Hill, I remember crying all the way because I thought, oh my goodness. Now, I finally did get a chance to get on campus that June before I came in August, but I was so afraid, just worried that it was 4 hours from Reedsville. I don't know anybody. I don't know my roommate. And there was this fear that I had. And even though I felt capable of doing whatever I needed to do to be a college student, my mom had given me all tips. She had graduated from Bennett College. There still was this fear that I won't be able to make it, that I will fail. I'll let my parents down. But really, it was all about me and trying to control those fears and then allowing myself to whatever that environment would unfold before me is to find a way to flourish and to carve out my niche so that I could do whatever, really at the end of the day, whatever God led me, in my chosen career. So you're right. Fear can be so profound.
Well, we've got a couple of questions. Let's go ahead. One of the questions that's popped up is, what has the pandemic taught you about the importance of high school sports?
we've always known that sports has its place, and society tends to get that out of whack. But when you're a student, you are a student first, and then you're an athlete. So what the pandemic has taught is that people have a tendency to get sports out of whack. And what I mean by that is they see when we had to pause sports, it just upset the apple cart. And there were people who were saying, we've got to get sports back. We've got to get sports restarted before there was a lot of attention paid to getting schools restarted. Because really, you could get rid of sports and school is still going to exist. And I remind coaches of that. But I think it also has taught that through high school sports, we have such a golden opportunity to teach those lessons that sports always teaches: sportsmanship and integrity and honesty and teamwork and all of those words that are akin to sports. But we found that through sports, we've been able to help athletes, help students understand the importance of wearing the mask, waiting 6 feet, your personal hygiene, so that we've been able to reinforce the things that are so important. If we're going to win against this virus, then those things, those 3 W's are so important. So high school athletics, I think, has helped us be able to role model those things, realizing that we can play sports by wearing a mask, because even in high schools now, we still require that. It has helped us be able to teach some of those lessons that are always byproducts of education-based athletics, but it's helped us be able to, I think, walk through this pandemic and give us an opportunity to be able to win.
Great response. All right, second question. Is there a particular experience that's opened your eyes, that's made you realize what you're capable of more than you thought you were?
Yeah, I'm gonna revert back to a couple of things. One, I mentioned in my introductory comments about being one of only 4 Black females at Mars Hill. One of my experiences at Mars Hill was that one of my very first roommate was forced to move out from me. She was white, because her parents did not want her rooming with a Black person. So when all of that unfolded and my hall counselors called me in one night to kind of tell me what had happened, I didn't know all this was going on behind the curtains. But when they shared that with me and I saw my roommate crying, who was just distraught because her parents had said, if you don't move out, we're not going to let you stay at Mars Hill. Well, I found myself feeling bad for her when somebody might say, well, no, you were the one who should have been crying because this was happening to you. I didn't know that that's how I would react and how I would be able to leave that room and still function. This was, now remember, this is it, Joyce, this is in my first month of school, basically. It all started to unfold my first month. And so it was about September when it all finally came to light. But I found in that experience the ability to sympathize and empathize at the same time. And I think I found an inner strength that I didn't really realize existed, that I could be friends with that young lady who moved into another room. Another roommate came in with me and it all worked out. It all worked out the way it was supposed to work. But I didn't know that. And I found that strength within that even to this day. Now, thank goodness I haven't had another situation like that. But there are still those kinds of moments when I am faced with the realization that, there's still racism that we have to deal with. I'm an African-American female in a job that is held by the majority of white men across the country. And so every now and then I feel that. But I think that lesson I learned that night in Edna Moore dorm, when I came face to face with it, and how I reacted then, has helped me be able to sit in my chair here in this office and to be able to move across the state, knowing that there are probably people who wish I were not in this position. And when every now and then I can hear it in somebody's voice, that inner strength that I found at Mars Hill, I think helps undergird me and keeps me grounded so that I don't get in trouble by saying something I shouldn't say.
That's awesome. Super inspiring. Really is. Okay, I'm trying to read another one. There's a screen further over here. When is a good time to reevaluate your life goals? Like throughout your life, when's that time,
Well, I think it's an ongoing process. I left Mars Hill. My goal was to go back to Reevaluate, my hometown, and I was going to teach school. Well, I didn't get a job right then. So after graduating, I had to think, okay, so what am I going to do? I don't have a job. Well, Coach Hart helped me with that, because then she said, you just need to go to grad school. So I pivoted and said, all right, I'm going to go to grad school. And as luck would have it, I got a job offer the very next week. But I had already made that as my next goal. Go get your master's degree. So I went to Marianne, North Carolina, started my career there. And just as a side note, the person who helped me get my job in Marianne is the young lady who moved in and became my roommate at Mars Hill. Her mom said, we need to come here. We got a job. And ultimately, it all worked out as God had it planned already. But anyway, so I readjusted then. And as I have found that at every decision-making point in my life, I've had to then do a goal reevaluation. When I was at NC State, for example, I was teaching and coaching in Reevaluate. I was set. That was what I was going to do the rest of my life. Coach, I'll call. I need you to come and be my assistant coach. So I had to check. All right, what are your goals, Q? What do you want to do? Have you done what you think you to do or want to do here? Goals changed. Went to NC State. Great 2 years. But this position at the association to come and create a student services program, it presented itself. So now I had to think, okay, is that what I want to do? Yeah. So every juncture along my life, for me, it has been, if there's an important decision to be made, check your goals. What is it you want to do? And you need to make sure, as I talked about, is that it's what you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do, because then you can get in trouble.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's something for us to think about, because especially, at what point do we, what, when, where? Okay, check and see what you really want to get out of it. What's the point? It's
That's
awesome.
right.
I think that actually answers all of the questions that we have. We've got some things in the chat. Make sure you read the chat system. There's some really fun comments in there.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed today, everybody. We want you to take advantage of your opportunity to see your fellow students in those recorded presentations and maybe get some extra credit in some classes at the same time. Thanks again, Q. We truly appreciate your words today. They were inspiring. They were exciting. They were educational. We've had some comments that say, thank you for waking me up to different things. I recognize one of those students and I'm really excited because he's in my class. So there you go.
Good.
So remember, everyone, this presentation will be up on springslam.com by between 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon. All student presentations will be live following this. Start watching those presentations. Again, we thank you for helping make this day work together and for joining us. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.